I've just had a customer come in, a young fella. He's just been given this guitar for Christmas. It's a Strat style guitar, and he's somehow or other managed to break a couple of strings, and he's asked me to put a new set of strings on it. Well, I figure that if Greg's going to be playing a guitar, he really ought to know how to change the strings. So I thought what I'd do is make a short video and explain how I go about changing the strings on an electric guitar like this. Acoustic guitars are a little different, classical guitars are definitely a little different, and other electric guitars will have different bridges, and so they might be a little different as well. But I think what we're going to run through here should cover most of the bases for an electric guitar. We're going to need a few things. We're going to need a cloth to give it a bit of a wipe down. Obviously we're going to need some strings. One of these gadgets, and there's various ones around, these are string winders that help you wind the tuning machines, which you'll see in a minute. I've got a couple of different ones. I particularly like this one because this end comes out, and that winder can be put into a power driver like this one to get your strings on and off quickly. But I recommend, if you're a beginner, just stick with a simple winder and do it by hand. You'll also need something to cut your strings with. A simple set of string cutters. There's different styles around, and possibly some lemon oil. Lemon oil is great for keeping the fretboard in good condition. You probably only need to put lemon oil on a couple of times a year, and a bottle this size might last you the rest of your life because you don't really need very much of it. This is a brand new guitar, but it definitely doesn't need lemon oil at the moment, so I won't be putting any on. Now you'll see there's lots of myths out there about how when you're changing your strings you should do them one at a time so you don't put any stress on the fretboard. I've been making and repairing guitars for over 20 years, and I'm here to tell you that when we're repairing, doing setups, all sorts of things, strings go on and off, on and off, on and off, the whole set all the time. There's absolutely no reason why you can't just get all the strings off, clean your guitar, and then put a new set on. So it's a bit of a myth to say that you should change strings one at a time. There's nothing wrong with doing that. By all means do it if that's what you want to do. But don't be scared about just taking all the strings off. So let's get on with it. The first thing I do is just back the strings off. Just get a bit of the tension out of the strings, and then once that's done, I didn't mention, when you're doing this, do it on a table or a bench somewhere. You know, even the kitchen table's fine. Put a little prop under the neck. If you don't want to have one of these fancy multi-height ones, use a book, copy of War and Peace, something like that. Just something just to hold the neck up a little bit so you've got some room to get to the tuning machines with your winder. Okay, so I've taken the tension out of the strings. At this point I'm simply going to just cut them up here. And now this makes getting the strings off the tuning machine end very easily. You can just simply pull it up and wind it and they pull off. It's the quickest way to get the strings off the tuning machines. You don't have to wind them all the way off, and that's it. They're done. Put them in the bin. Now down at this end, one of the reasons why I like to leave a little bit of string end down here is that we need to push them out through these holes on the back, and just having a bit of string. And of course what happens is that we need to look and see where the ball end is going, and get it coming out the back of the guitar. Because there's a bit of a kink in the strings, they don't always line directly up with the hole in the back plate here. So that's why you need to do what I'm doing and have a bit of a look and get the little ball end to come out through that slot. Now one thing I've just noticed is that the strings that were missing have broken off just here, and there's some old bits of string, the E and the B string stuck in there. So just give me a minute while I get all these strings out. Okay, so I've cleared those little bits of broken off string that were in the hole. It was pretty easy, just fiddled around and got them to push out. And now what I do is take a cloth and I just give the guitar, particularly these areas around the pickups and the bridge that you can't get to and the strings are on, the fretboard itself, a wipe down with a microfiber cloth. Just, give it a bit of TLC around the headstock and the tuning machines to get any dust and muck off. And if the guitar needs it, some oil on the fretboard, you don't need to oil, or you'll never oil a fretboard that's like a maple fretboard that's got a lacquer finish on it. Oil does no good there. It's really just for rosewood, ebony, and some of the darker woods that are unfinished. That's where the lemon oil comes in. Okay, now the next the next step is I line up the holes in the tuning machine, these holes, so they're all pointing basically in alignment with the neck. So I just get my winder until all the holes line up north-south, if you like, because it's going to make much easier in just a minute to feed the strings if those holes are pointing in that direction. So now all the holes are pointing in this direction. Next, some strings. Strings of your choice. And the first thing I do, these ones come in packed in pairs, first and fourth, third and fifth, or second and fifth, and so on. So unwind them carefully, don't poke yourself in the eye. And for the again, for the Strat style guitar and some of the others like the Telecaster, if you've got a load from behind, you're just going to feed them through these holes. So it's a good idea just to get it where you can actually see the hole and make sure the string is got a clear run all the way through. Don't make the mistake that I just made of putting the fourth string in the sixth string hole. Pay attention to that. And this is the first string. Just be careful unwinding them, just flick them around until they'll pretty much unwrap themselves at that point. Okay, strings are all fed through the body. Next thing we do is take the first string, in this case it's actually the sixth string, and I'll pull it out so that it's just lying nice and straight along the neck of the guitar. I poke it through the hole which is lined up and pull it so that there's just gentle tension in it. Clamping it between the thumb and finger next to the string post at the headstock end. I grab it at the nut and pull it back to the first fret. So that creates this slack in the string now. Do that again, holding it at there, grab it at the nut, pull it back to around the first fret. It doesn't have to be perfect, just somewhere there. Then I hold the string in my right hand and just press down behind the nut to keep the string down close to the wood of the headstock. And then I start winding on. Now I've seen people, do all kinds of clever things. They wrap it round and come back underneath and tie a knot or do all sorts of things. completely unnecessary. Just wind it on, but make sure that as you do, the tag end goes over the top of the string as it approaches the tuning machine. And that way, as you're winding on, the wraps will wrap underneath so that the string is being pulled down towards the bottom of the post, and it wraps around and comes up. And because of the shape of the post of the tuning machine, the wraps will tighten up and actually clamp the string up tight. But in any case, all we need and all we want is around 2 to 3 wraps on that post. Any more than that, it's not helpful. So that's it. We'll just now go on. Same process for the other strings. Through the hole, gripping it at the string post. Pull it back to the first fret and wind it on. Finger keeping it down so it's coming up. It's coming up underneath the tag end as it winds over the top. And this is when having a string winder is a benefit. You can get that winding done a little quicker. Just wind it until you can hear a little bit of twang. Don't get too tight just yet. Okay, so that's all the strings wound on. You'll notice on these Fender style flat headstocks that there are a couple of little hold down things here called string retainers, string trees, string tees. So they generally just are there to pull the string down so that particularly the 3 treble strings pull down onto the nut. Otherwise they cannot be enough pull down and the string doesn't sit neatly in the nut. So it's important to tuck those strings underneath those string trees or retainers. So at this point we can take our string cutters and just go along and snip off the ends of the strings. I like to leave about 5 or 6 millimeters, and it's not too complicated. Just be aware that those string ends you've cut off are like, particularly the E and the B string, are like needles. They're very sharp, so you'll learn quickly to keep your fingers away from them. So that's pretty much it. At this stage we just need to tune the guitar up. The other thing I would say is once you've got it tuned up, just work your way along the string. I like to stretch them in, and all I'm doing when I'm stretching them in is just grabbing them between thumb and finger, like this, and just sort of tweaking them with a bit of action like that as I work along the string, and do that a couple of times once you've got it tuned up, and they'll stay in tune, or they'll learn to stay in tune much quicker than if you don't do that. Okay, one last thing once we've finished. If you want your strings to last longer and not have to change them, keep them clean. So when you finish playing, again, take your cloth, just give them a wipe down and get all that perspiration, the oils and things that come out of your skin off the strings, and that'll make them last a lot longer than just tossing it back in the case and pulling it out to play again next time. So that's it. Happy playing.